And he was kind of getting in their heads and saying that, oh, they're actually very repressed individuals, and they were, doing their devotional service just trying to look good for the other members of the community. So he was like criticizing them for that, and actually many of them left devotional service. So they concluded, that I'm doing this devotional service simply for, to look good in this little obscure community. It's interesting psychology. And I remember thinking, well, okay, that's good information. You're performing devotional service for the wrong reasons. But don't give up devotional service. Change your motivation. Change why you're doing it. Right? And I was thinking of Vaisheshika. He often mentions this point that we should purify our intentions as we go on. So we may find that we're doing devotional service, just like this, what Bali Maharaj is proposing, surrendering everything to Krishna. That's a good idea. We think that's a good idea. But this reasoning is very interesting. It may be useful at a certain stage in someone's spiritual progress to be motivated by, prestige or honor in the future. It actually may be a useful idea, but ultimately it's not going to satisfy the heart. The heart becomes satisfied when we do what we do actually for Krishna. If we perform, we can do that. Of course, the obvious. It's just interesting how Srila Prabhupada gives this whole verse and purport, and he doesn't explain it any more than this. You have to read the Bhagavatam to find out further explanation. The obvious other point is that, the person's reputation will live on. The obvious fault in that is, what good does it do you? If you're like Prophet, what was it? It was a neighbor. He said he became a dog in Sweden in his next life. So if we remember, Mr. Nehru, he was one of the leaders of India, his reputation lives on. But as a dog in Sweden, how much pleasure is he getting from that? I was just in Vienna, and there's all these statues of Mozart, he's like the hero. Everywhere you go, it's Mozart this. They've got stores for Mozart, paraphernalia. Undoubtedly an amazing composer, but we have to wonder, is he getting any credit or benefit? Certainly all the paraphernalia sold, he's not getting any profits from it, It's all made by somebody else. So, ultimately, Bhagavatam, all the scriptures come to the conclusion that this desire for name and fame is useless. It doesn't give us any lasting satisfaction. It's just illusory. But it may be a motivation for someone for some time, even in devotional service. I remember I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for about a year, and I had somewhat of a good reputation as a devotee. This young devotee is doing pretty well, and at a certain point I realized that that was actually a motivation for me to be a nice devotee. This person is performing devotional service. He's a good devotee. And I remember, thank you, Krishna, gave me the realization that, that was a motivation. It's kind of a sad motivation, but it's a motivation nevertheless. But we, at a certain point, we want to really think about, am I doing this to please Krishna? Or am I doing it to please others? Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, there's a series of songs that he writes in Gitavali, and they're called Shikshastakam, and it's based on Mahaprabhu's Shikshastakam. And so the third song, they're whole songs, 7, 8 lines like that. So they're kind of his purport to the different verses. And so he writes a song on verse 3, Trinadapi Sinichena Taronapi Sahishnina Amanina Amanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. And it's a beautiful song. I can't quote Bengali just at the moment, but he sings that because we hear that in order to actually chant the holy name, in order to actually sing the pure holy name, we need to develop humility, whatever that humility is. And so we may think, well, maybe I should wait to chant the holy name till I get some humility. But in this song, he explains that we actually develop humility by chanting the holy name. He says, if we try to chant attentively, if we chant the holy name with attention, with some feeling, then by that process, adhikar, he says, the qualifications come. Isn't that nice? If we can just focus on chanting our rounds nicely, chanting kirtan nicely. Nicely means for Krishna. Then gradually the qualifications come. So then he says, he describes the humility, tolerance like that of a tree, and he says we should cultivate these qualities. These qualities, we should cultivate them. And specifically, he mentions these 4 that we should practice, humility like the grass, tolerance like the tree. We should allow some tolerance to come into our heart. We should practice doing good for others. He explains it in this way, that we should try to do good for others and never do harm to others. We should practice not doing harm to others, but always looking out for their welfare and not considering our own prestige, as is mentioned in this verse, but to be eager, he says, to offer respects to others. Then it's really, it's interesting. So he says, he describes, if one practices all of these qualities, then he becomes a great Mahajan. So he mentions that there. Now, O great soul, you become a great Mahajan. And he says, now, O Mahajan, give up the desire for prestige. So it's kind of an indication that even one can take up the spiritual path, can make great progress in many different ways, but the desire for honor is actually so hard to give up. It's very deeply rooted. This is important for us to understand. It's very, very deeply rooted, and we need to be conscious of this in our daily dealings and everything. We need to be conscious how difficult this is, and really pray to Krishna to help us in this way, because this is spiritual life. I was thinking in Poland, there's a Catholic tradition, and they say, they tell us a little story. It's probably very poetic in Polish, but it goes something like this: that once there was a man, and he took up the spiritual life, and he performed austerities, and he became a priest, and he worked very hard, and but he wasn't satisfied with just becoming a priest. Eventually, he continued, and he became a saint. He was recognized as a saint, but he wasn't satisfied by that. He went on, purifying his heart, and eventually, one day, he became a nice guy. So it's kind of like that. This spiritual progress, ultimately, all of this material, the desire for fame, especially, which can motivate even our spiritual practice, makes the heart hard, and makes us, unresponsive, uncaring for other people. So if we can progress in that way, then this will be very good. I don't know, that's kind of what comes to mind. Maybe is there any discussion on this, any thoughts? Yeah.
Thank you. I was catching the point with cultivating the qualities. And in the Bhagavad Gita, recently I read the verse of chapter 12 depicting these qualities of Vaishnava that become exhibited through devotional service. And I'm trying to understand what it means cultivating some qualities like tolerance and being humble, because ultimately devotional service
gives those.
Gives it automatically, let's say. And there is no separate endeavor to cultivate some qualities. So how should we understand this cultivating qualities?
In that song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and others, what is it? Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jani Yasu Vairagyam Gyanam Chaya Vaitikam. We are depending on the process of devotional service to awaken us and to bring about good qualities. But at the same time, throughout all the teachings of the Vaishnavas, they're always praying to Krishna. Please help me. In other words, it's like, we can't cleanse our own heart. Right? It's not within the power of the conditioned soul to cleanse our heart. That's done by Krishna. Of course, we do it by hearing. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punyashavana Kirtana Hridyantasto. If we hear nicely, then Krishna cleanses our heart. But the indication is that we should want that. We should aspire for that. We should ask for that. Like Prabhupada says, actually, in Nectar of Devotion, he says we're chanting the holy name of the Lord simply to cleanse the heart. But if we do not want to cleanse the heart, if we want to keep things as they are, then we won't be able to get the real benefit of chanting the holy name. Prabhupada Prabhupada says that. So I would take a lot of the cultivation is that we're praying to Krishna to help us. And also the cultivation means being aware that I need this, I'm in serious need of purification. There's so much, gunk in the heart, still so many unwanted desires and attitudes, that I may not even know I have. So please help me. So it is an awareness, it's a caution, and I think we do have to try. It's not automatic. It is, in the sense that it's not ultimately done by us, it's done by Krishna, by Krishna's grace. But we have to help. I remember Niranjana Maharaj, she was giving a class on Nectar of Instruction, and in there it said that once one begins devotional service, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. You know that? Prabhupada says that. And he says one injection of Krishna consciousness will make one day perfect in Krishna consciousness. So somebody asked him, what does it mean, forcibly dragged? He thought for a minute, he said, it means it hurts. He said, we should cooperate. We should not be forcibly dragged. We should cooperate. So, I see it in that way. We should cultivate in that way. We should try to help Krishna. And I think another important aspect of the cultivation, a really important aspect of the daily life of a devotee, is to always look at every situation, everything that happens to us. What's the lesson? What am I supposed to understand here? Because we practice our sadhana and we go out in the world and stuff happens, and then we find that maybe we get angry or something happens, or so many disturbances come to test the quality of our sadhana. So, that's part of our spiritual life. That's a really important part of our spiritual life. You're all book distributors, so you get great experience of this on a daily basis, right? Your sadhana is tested every day, right? Out on the streets. Not everybody's kind to you, right? When you go out. Oh, I'm so glad you're here distributing books. So you get to practice all of these things. It's one of the benedictions of this service. But still, if we consciously look for, what am I supposed to learn from this? How am I supposed to change? What am I supposed to understand? Then we'll help Krishna purify us. And when we observe that there's something in our consciousness which shouldn't be there, we can really work on that in the sense of really pray, Krishna, please help me with this. Consciously want to get rid of it, not just think that, one day this will be gone. That's my thought. Yes, Maharaj.
Could you also say that when you, like was quoted there, or referred to about the Bhagavad Gita, the various qualities, when we read from the Shastra or hear from the Shastra about how we should behave, or how our behavior will be pleasing to Krishna, remember those statements and try to apply them in our daily lives. In a situation of trying, as you mentioned, like one simple one, Sankirtan, somebody just comes and calls you an ill name, and maybe a material response is to shoot back.
Right.
But wait a minute, Krishna said, we should tolerate, Lord Chaitanya said we should tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that also something we should try to take on board?
I think so, yeah. Otherwise, why are we hearing these things?
Well, we tell people about it.
You should become humble. I remember once.
That's a cultivation, isn't it?
I think so.
Consciously remembering what your guru or Krishna said, how we should act in this particular situation, which we assume is more pleasing than following our conditional reactionary ways.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Practical.
it's a practical cultivation of hearing.
Chanting japa also very much so.
Mm-hmm.
You can cultivate the right attitude in chanting japa. From what you've heard, we don't know what the attitude is. We hear it from the Shastra.
Yeah, we have to hear these things.
Try to apply it in our activities, our daily lives.
It may seem artificial for us at a certain stage. I mean, there's actually people that cultivate anger, that's a type of cultivation, Yeah, my dad was angry and, his dad was angry and I'm angry too. That's just how I am, somebody says something, I just get angry, That was cultivate,
Nothing wrong with that. Be yourself.
Until you, hit somebody and go to jail. We had one devotee that was living with us, and he was really trying, but one day, there was another devotee that would always kind of intentionally get under his skin, kind of say something to irritate him. And one day he just couldn't handle it anymore, and just smashed his face in. His little bloody nose and everything. That was kind of the dividing line, all the devotees were freaked out, the small temple, so we had to ask him to, sorry, you can't stay here. But I still know him, we're still close, but so we don't want to cultivate anger.
But everyone in the world is cultivating something.
Yeah.
There's an imposition in everything we do, whether it's material education, learning how to do a job, do sport, whatever it is, there's a kind of an imposition, which you could say the same thing about anything, as you say, devotion and service.
Mm-hmm.
Could be said, because you've chosen, that's what you want to do, you want to accept certain imposition, whatever you want to call it. Restrictions, disciplines. Some things are not always, as you said earlier on earth, not all the time. And whatever we do in life, some part of it is going to hurt.
Yeah. It's one of the lessons of Bhagavad Gita. It's one of the lessons of Bhagavad Gita. Even if you're doing what's natural for you, your dharma, it may not be pleasant. That's the way.
Interesting, yesterday, actually the day before yesterday, we were reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's related to this. The verse goes, Lord Chaitanya is speaking to basically everyone. If the fruits are distributed all over the world, my reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere. And thus all people will glorify my name with great pleasure.
Yeah. Well, he can have a reputation. His reputation
we're
is...
following in his footsteps. We're doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Following in the footsteps of Mahaprabhu, cultivating a good reputation.
Some people do. But that's also part of the subject, isn't it? When we do that, glorify Lord Chaitanya, spread his mission all over the world, and Lord Chaitanya's reputation, by glorifying Lord Chaitanya, expanding his reputation, it helps to
Ours will also.
build our own.
Yeah. But if that's our motivation, we won't be able to do it.
Yeah,
Actually,
but
we won't have any taste. I heard something recently. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was saying that he gives the example of kirtan. If you perform kirtan to please others, even the devotees, if we're thinking, oh, I'll please the devotees. I mean, we have to understand this, but in other words, if we're doing kirtan for our pleasure or for others' pleasure, in the sense of entertainment, like that, then the result will be that your material desires will grow. And you'll be able to see that. And of course ultimately you won't be able to keep chanting. You'll just get bored with it and look for something else.
Well, as long as people glorify you if you're kirtan, you might carry on.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the taste, so-called taste, comes from that. And how long does that last, or what is that? And then you'll become agitated or irritated if someone doesn't like it or whatever. But if we're actually singing for Krishna's pleasure, the result will be that our material desires will go down.
That transformation can take place because it will be, in many cases, an element of, wanting to get recognized or, hope that others think I'm doing nice kirtan, whatever it is I'm doing. Is it just prayer? Is it desire? Is it?
It's. I think Krishna just beats it out of us. Beats it out of us. Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky, Krishna will just beat it out of you.
I'm still wondering after 52 years how it works.
Yes. I remember I was a young devotee and I said to my bhakta leader something about I'm worried about becoming proud or something like that. And he said, oh, don't worry. Krishna will take care of you. Krishna will beat it out of you. I think it is like that. Again, we shouldn't, when we recognize that we're doing something for not the best motive, it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It means we should do it. But we should change our motive.
Association.
Yeah.
How much is association part of this?
Oh, it's everything. Yeah.
Pretty important.
Yeah.
To associate with devotees who are more, let's say, selfless and more Krishna conscious.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. One of my big influences for many years in my life has been Satchidananda Swami, who's always, he's someone I appreciate so much because he's doing seminars. He's always helping the devotees go deeper in their own sadhana. But it's because he's always working on himself, very, very clearly, and he's very humble about that. So his association and seeing how, what he's trying for in his chanting, I think has been, for me personally, it's been very important. Yeah. I think association's everything.
The real test, isn't it? Because it's like with Madhavendra Puri, you try to avoid name and fame, but it followed him without even his effort.
Yeah.
It's another test, isn't it?
That's
It's not
another
just
test, yeah.
avoiding it, but you're going to be faced with it because people are going to, whether you like it or not, they're going to glorify it or whatever. You'll become famous.
Yeah. That's one of, I think, in Madhurya Kadambini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that as a difficulty in devotional service is that as you progress, I mean, I'm just looking out at you nice devotees. You're effulgent, you know. Really, you know, you're effulgent people. You don't, walk around Paris. You don't see people like that. I remember in Japan, the devotees were, they were Japanese, but they're distributing books and they were just glowing, And the other Japanese people would ask them, "You're not from here, are you? You're not one of us." But yeah, that happens to devotees because, the more we become purified, then Krishna works through us. And I think that realization is very important to cultivate always, that if I do anything good at all, or if there's anything nice, it's Krishna. It's just Krishna's mercy. Krishna's doing that. Krishna's allowing something nice to come out of my mouth.
That's a pretty important realization or meditation.
Yeah. And that's then, Prabhupada was like that, he was amazing what he did and what he said. Sometimes Prabhupada just like one sentence, it's just like so powerful, the way he said it, and he never took credit. He never for a second thought, "Oh, I did this." Even he would read his books and appreciate, "Wow, Krishna's so wonderful." he wrote this book. like Baladeva Vibhushana Govinda Bhasha, he didn't take credit. He wrote this incredible commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, and he calls it Govinda Bhasha. Govinda wrote this, Govindaji wrote this. He never took credit. So we need to become aware that if I'm doing something nice, if something good happens, anything at all, that it's Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, there's always that, we can slip over the edge and think that, I'm becoming an advanced devotee, or I did this, or I did that. And, it's that razor's edge, and it's a challenge for a devotee advancing on the spiritual path, for sure. Yeah. Right.
Thank you for the class. My question was, so is there a practical way that we can develop this consciousness that nothing comes from me, nothing good comes from me? And is there like some meditation, a pastime, or whatever that I could focus on, so it helps me to cultivate, develop this consciousness?
I think it's just the awareness. I think we just need to think about what we're doing. We need to think about what we're doing, and if we're always in our daily activities, in our daily dealings, if we're cultivating, awareness of Krishna, that Krishna's there. Krishna's right here in my heart. He's watching everything. He knows everything. I can always reach out to him. He's not far away. Krishna's close by. He's really close. And he tells us, 2 times in Bhagavad Gita, man mana, right? Think of me, And, my Prabhupada said that one time. He said, "You think of so many nonsense things. Why not think of Krishna?" But the mind always, wants to go somewhere else. So it really is a daily, just like you're chanting japa and you notice your mind has wandered, we have to bring it back. I mean, it's totally possible to chant 16 rounds and not hear one word, right? I mean, I hope you don't do that, but it can be done. So, so through, huh?
One of the policies, they're already expert.
Expert, yeah. You know, plan your day, everything's going on, yeah, and listen. Oh,
That's
yeah,
one of the
like
good
this,
thoughts
and
that comes along. That's one of the good ones.
yeah, that's one of the good
That's
thoughts.
one of my favorites. The other
Correct.
stuff, some of the other stuff
Yeah.
is really.
Yeah. So we have to cultivate that throughout the day. Every time, you know. Otherwise our mind just goes, you know, where will our mind go and when will it come back? We don't know. So, but when we notice, we have to bring it back. And that awareness of Krishna, and we can always pray to Krishna when we think like that. Please let me think of you. Please let me be aware of you. And then we'll also be conscious how Krishna's helping us.
Some devotees, they have a good system. They write it down. They write a verse which is related to, like Krishna's point there, like Lord Brahma's praying not to become proud in the course of his
Yeah,
duty.
right.
Or Madhavendra reaction to
Right.
spiritual Gopinath pastime. They write that down, they're a constant reminder.
Right.
A constant reminder. Be
That's
careful, be on the watch out.
Yeah. That's good. Just one thing.
That's what I was gonna say, it's just Lord Brahma's prayers for creative energy in the second canto.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can't even lift our arm, we can't do anything without Krishna's permission, Krishna's granting us the ability to do anything and everything. So that chapter is very relevant to read and reread, to remember that I'm not the doer and that I'm completely dependent on mercy.
You know that section of Bhagavatam, Brahma's prayers for creative energy.
Second canto.
He speaks about this.
So we have the informations. Yes. So excuse me.
Brahma's prayers for creative energy
Yes.
in Srimad Bhagavatam. Which canto is it?
Third
Fourth?
canto.
Huh? That second canto. Yeah. You can read those. Those are very good. And just meditate on this. Like, for instance, I'm speaking right now. Some thoughts are coming in my head and there's words coming out of my mouth. I have no idea how that's happening. How does that happen? I have no idea. How, I think I want to lift my hand. How did that happen? No idea.
You must be from Noida.
I have no idea. No idea. But isn't it? Just consider that. How we take it for granted. We think of something, we do something, we think we're the doers, but we're actually not. And if you meditate on that deeply, it's worth thinking about.
Incredible, attached people, I think they are the doer.
Yeah.
You say that sometimes, no, I am the doer, I'm doing this.
Yeah. I
They
did it.
react like it.
Yeah, I did that. I remember watching this, performer do something. Anyway, he did some kind of stunt or something like that. And I saw him afterwards, and he was exclaiming to his friend. He said, "Wow, did you see that? I don't know how I did that, but I did it nevertheless."
So good, I did it.
It was amazing that I did that. But at the same time, he's admitting he doesn't. There was something wonderful, special that happened. It's 9:00. Anyway. Jai. Thank you all so much for being here. I can't imagine trying to spread Krishna consciousness in Paris. It just seems like
It's paradise.
it's paradise. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank Nice to have time with you.
You can stay longer.
Sure, I think we'll have to catch our plane. We've been on that road now for about 5 weeks. I'm kind of ready to take a little break.
Did you make it to Hungary?
I have been there. It's been a while. I went with when I got kidnapped by the Swami. Traveled around the world for 8 years. Yeah, ended in the Swami. We went there. Yeah. Wonderful place. But we didn't come to France.
Well, we know.
We know
History,
why.
the history.
We know why we didn't come to France. So anyway, now.
Changed now, though.
Yes, it is. It is.
The ice is broken.
Yeah. I heard he's coming. He came back also.
Came twice last year.
Yeah. So maybe we should stop. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Radha-Parisisvara Mandir.
And his wife coming with you?
Oh yeah, my better 3/4.
3/4.
Yeah.
And what's the other quarter?
I don't know. It's a good question. What is it? What is it?
I had one question for you, Maharaj. There's kind of more and more discussion where some people are saying that